Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyles Wednesday, presented by the Exit Room of Lee Summit, and it's our every other Wednesday visit with Tim Finn, one of my favorite things. Well, all the things I do on this site are some of my favorite things because I get to decide what I want to do. So obviously they'd be some of my favorite things, but it's always fun to talk music with Tim. He's a great font of information, and we get to talk about shows recent and shows to come, give you some hints on things like that, and we get to delve into some somewhat under-the-radar music this time around, and also some of the most iconic figures in the history of rock music in the last 50 years or so, like Santana and the Doobie Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Lots of different things to delve into, as usual, with Tim, and we'll move around to the Allman Brothers and all kinds of other great stuff. It's always fun with Tim. He's from In Kansas City magazine. You can read his stuff in that great online publication and a beautiful printed version as well in Kansas City magazine. He's the contemporary music writer for them. You can also hear him with John Hart each and every Thursday on 90.9 The Bridge. That's a great segment. We think this is a great segment too, since I did a Kansas City Profiles with John Hart. Obviously, I'm not trying to compete with him. He's a great interviewer, a very interesting guy, and that's a great segment as well. So I listened to that one, and I hope you listen to this one. Well, I don't have to hope, because if you hear what I'm saying, then you are listening, aren't you? Tim Finn, he comes up next.
Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events, and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code Clinkscale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. Get a refreshing change of your expectations of a sports bar and restaurant at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Matt Llewellyn's welcoming spot at Clinton Parkway and Cassold covers all the bases, like their own handcrafted beers and all the televisions you need for great sports viewing, but it's the large, varied, and delicious menu that stands apart. From a favorite of mine like the awesome ahi tuna appetizer to great sandwiches, outstanding pizza, and truly fantastic entrees, the 23rd Street Brewery has it all. Matt and his friendly staff make it that much more enjoyable. Food until 10, fun until late. The 23rd Street Brewery is a can't-miss stop when you are in Lawrence.
It's time for another visit with Tim Finn. Every other Wednesday, we get to talk music. It's always fun, interesting. We take some tangents and do some different things, but we also stick to some of the recent concerts that he has reviewed and or the upcoming concerts that he will be seeing, and shows that he's highlights, and that's always a highlight for you because you get to set your music schedule a little bit in this busy summertime. Let's start off with a recent review. 2 certainly tried and true acts, Santana and Doobie Brothers playing together. Now let's start it off with Carlos, sort of a double anniversary for him, and they certainly have had a fantastic and varied career, and he has as well, starting off with Woodstock. And I think that Woodstock, and I think you put it in your review, is maybe more remembered for the rain and the mud than the music, and that's probably kind of a shame.
Yeah, there's a 50th anniversary documentary out there on maybe it's Netflix, and yeah, I think it became more about just the mass of humanity that was there and the conditions they endured. But yeah, it was a breakthrough event for a lot of people, including Santana, Richie Havens. Yeah, the list goes on. But it's funny that was so spontaneous, and any opportunity or any chance to recreate that with, they had one in the 25th anniversary, which would have been 93 or 94. That was a mess, and then they tried to have one this year, which ended up being a failure. So it's kind of like it's become famous for being what it was and what no one expected it to be, which was like that many people would show up, and so many people who performed there would go on to be really great Hall of Fame musicians.
Yeah, there were some really interesting mixes, too. You had acts like Santana, who were breakthrough acts, and then big-time acts, and The Who was there. But then, there were some offbeat people that you never would have expected who were there, too. I think, wasn't Neil Diamond at the time? I think somebody like that was there. But
sure.
Yeah, so there, it was... you wanted to get together. And Neil Diamond is an interesting guy because we think of him sort of as a Las Vegas-style entertainer. But when you see a lot of different things like The Last Waltz or Woodstock, he was a very respected guy in the music industry by people you would figure would never really respect him.
Right. He sort of became a caricature, but he was a really well-respected songwriter. He was a great songwriter. He's written some of the best songs of the last 50 years. And he's not touring anymore, but every time he would come, I would make sure to see him just because he put on a great show. He was schmaltzy. He was a little over the top. He was kind of Vegas, but man, you listen to, he does 20 songs and 18 of them are like FM or AM radio classics, and really, yeah, he's somebody I respect a lot, and probably gets a little overlooked or dismissed, and unrightfully so.
Well, and part of it is the fact that maybe some of the songs before he became, or even once he became famous, or other recording artists did, sort of maybe started the path where he would be less respected. He wrote songs for the Monkees and things like that, and they were good songs. Mm-hmm. But when the Monkees record your songs, I guess there's not much gravitas there.
Well, I guess there's money there, though, so what does he care? But yeah, that's he's written so many good songs, and yeah, it's just too bad he can't perform anymore because his shows are always really good.
Well, tell us about the Santana show. Well, and he's somebody else who I think has had a varied career that sometimes morphed into more commercial side that maybe cost him a little maybe respect or whatever within the industry. But certainly he's a fabulous player, and you can tell me how you thought the show went from that standpoint. We'll get into the opening act in reverse order.
Right. Yeah, well, so what I was thinking about watching him is like, sports and music are different. Sports rewards the most talented people, and but sports, there's also time isn't kind to athletes. There comes a time where it's time to hang it up, time not to play anymore. But with Santana, he's 71 or 72, and he's just as good as he's ever been. I was watching him play guitar, his tone, his phrasing. It's like he is still a spectacular guitar player. And, you may have, some people don't like his style. That's fine. That's a subjective thing. But objectively, you can't help but admit that he's a fabulous guitar player, and he's developed a style and a voice of his own, and it's him when you hear him. And that's what I took away from that show was he's in his 70s, but he looks like he could go on playing for another 10 or 20 years.
And these shows are really enthusiastic, lengthy jams. So you're going to get some things that are a little bit different from time to time, even though many, many, many of the songs are quite familiar and he's played them many times. He does interesting covers, and there's a lot of good things that you can say about any Santana show.
Right. There's a lot of jubilance. It's very percussive. It's very dancey. People were dancing throughout the show. I guess it was an anniversary of the 20th anniversary of his Supernatural album, which is by far his most successful record and probably his most commercial. And I think that was a point in his career where, because he did that song with Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20, and I think some people kind of sneered at that. But you know what? It paid off in a lot of ways. So the set list focused on that more than any other record, and I like his earlier records more than that one. And he put out a record this year, maybe it was last year, but with African music in it, a tribute to the traditional African music. And he only played one of those songs. I wish I would like to have heard more than just that one song. But otherwise, yeah, it was a solid 2 hours. Just it never stopped moving, and the mood never. There were no lulls, there were no dips, and to watch that guy like orchestrate that kind of energy for 2 hours, it was impressive.
One of the covers he played is one of my favorite underrated rock songs to me is "She's Not There" by the Zombies, and I think the Zombies in general are somewhat underserved. I don't know if anybody's never heard "She's Not There" who's listening right now, but it's a fabulous song, and he was sort of Rod Argent was a breakthrough type of organist. So how did that come off?
That was great, yeah, and everybody knew it. Like there were, instant recognitions. That's one of those songs. Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing it on the radio when I was growing up, and it's still alive. That's just another tribute to a great song that will never get old. And having him cover it and do his take on it, was he fussed with it a little bit, but you knew what it was. He didn't turn it inside out or anything. But it was a really good moment in the show. And
of course, Rod Argent would go on to form Argent and had another iconic song, and that one, "Hold Your Head Up," which was one of my favorite songs when I was a little boy. I think I was maybe going through some kind of a dumb melancholy phase at that point, and the lyrics resonated with me. Kind of thing that you hang your hat on a little bit.
Right, yeah. I think he came to Knuckleheads once, and I saw him somewhere a while ago. But yeah, two great songs. I mean, if you got that on your resume, you did good. Yeah.
And the Doobie Brothers opened up, and they're now down to 3 original members, and they are 3 important members of the band. First of all, just address many people are far more familiar with the Michael McDonald era Doobie Brothers. So what was it like? They've been doing this a long time, before and after Michael McDonald, but what was that part like? What was the non-Michael McDonald aspect of it?
Well, I had never seen them with him, so I wasn't missing it. I've seen him solo.
Yeah, I have too.
But so I didn't even really consider that because, like most people, when I first got to know them, Tom Johnson was the lead singer, and he still is, and his voice sounds great. Yeah, they just put on, it was like I don't know how long, 70 minutes or so, and they played every song you wanted to hear, and they played it the way you heard it or remember it, and yeah, it was a solid set, and everybody was there. Like it was almost sold out, and when they started, the place was 90% as full as it would be all night. So people showed up to hear them. They're still solid. I mean, they've written a ton of really good songs. That Black Water is still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, that's a great song. It's one of their earliest songs. It's maybe a little bit different than much of their catalog. It was really long. It was the kind of song that probably wouldn't get commercial airplay now. But that was an era where album tracks, no matter how long they were, would be played, and it was just a cool song.
Yeah, it's almost like 2 or 3 songs in one because it has these movements to it, and that's completely different from what preceded it, and then it comes back. It's that song, I remember hearing it for the first time, and yes, never forgot it after that.
The encore with Black Water was Listen to the Music, which I will say isn't one of my favorite tunes. I think it's a little bland. Their catalog, I think, sways between songs that are quite good and songs that are just borderline cheesy. I'd go to, but I don't know if that's fair, but still everybody knows Listen to the Music, and it's not a favorite of mine, but I'm sure everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a big sing-along. It is kind of they wrote it to be a radio hit, sounds like, and it was. And I mean, it has some irresistibility to it. Really, it's a good melody, but the lyrics are just pretty lame. And but yeah, I think that was their last song, and yeah, people ate it up. There was a big sing along for that.
And who would you say? Not that it matters. Got the better response. Who do you think was there for people? Who were people there more to see?
I think Santana. Just his legacy is deeper and grander than the Doobies. For sure, they were